wants to empower the people with the products, but at the same time, there are always the people in this intersection. And so when we see that, we really find collaboration at that point.
When we talk about collaboration and we talk about where we're at today, because when we talk about the expression of extended reality and immersive technologies, these sciences that we're dealing with and that we're building that have so many different layers that are involved. On one hand, we know that there's hardware, but that's powered by incredible and extraordinary technology. And when we talk about what it's broadcasting, what it's showing, what it's expressing of storytelling, that's a narrative, that's a layer. When it comes to the art, the design, the schematic, the experience itself, those are all different layers. And when we have so much culture, cross-cultural development and access in the whole entire world, what does this mean? And what are we looking to be able to stand in terms of the benefit when we collaborate and build together?
I think that depending from which side you look at, whether you're an entrepreneur or policymaker, you have a different benefit. And sometimes maybe the issue is that we don't really see these benefits. I think as an entrepreneur, the benefit is to find not just funding, but also common standards for the development of in new innovations. So there are many entrepreneurs or in general inventors that have very good ideas, but sometimes these ideas don't get adopted or don't get to the stage of mass adoption because they're not standardized. And on the side of policymakers, there is a need to promote certain values. But this need is not incorporated into a need also for standards that derives from the private sector. So I think it's really pivotal to find this intersection where we have regulations that are both objective, that set standards, and at the same time also include values and look at the people in a way that they take into account human rights, which are very much generalizable.
Does it seem, and tell me if this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're the expert in the room. If we're talking about adopting and subscribing to standards when it comes to big tech, many of these platforms are in the $1 trillion category now, or soon will be. I've come to appreciate and to find out that many of these platforms, they could care less about standards and policy. Meta just let go of 60% of its policy and a significant majority of its communications. Microsoft, too, let go of a significant amount of policy when it comes to what they do. And those are two companies that I actually like and work with. But for the sake of being transparent and keeping it real, these are facts. And so my question is that if it's already difficult to be able to help influence or even inspire these major companies that some would even say that are too big to fail, which I don't necessarily agree with, when it comes to the startup level, is it more best to spend our energy inspiring and demonstrating on the startup level why it's important to be able to manifest or to be able to adopt these standards that are so keen towards overall success in human sustainability when it comes to outcomes?
I mean, certainly startups are the future. So it's really important to work with them as well, as there are some companies that we see rising now might be very well shaping the digital economy of tomorrow and might become very big corporations tomorrow. But at the same time, I don't think that standards are just set solely by the public sector alone or the private sector alone. We had examples in the past where perhaps standards might have been sort of in a gray area, and so big corporations were actually making up for that. And so I think because they're so big that they can really set a very important example, and in many ways they have they're taking on this responsibility. But at the same time, I think that because of these two different perspectives, many times from a big tech point of view, standards setting starts from standards setting starts with finding what can help technology adoption first, and second it goes to the values, while for policymaker it starts with values first. And so I think something that I've found very interesting to understand also for myself is the difference between standardization and regulation. So we have standardization, then we put values on that standardization, and we get to regulation. And I think this is really the sort of like the plot twist, because sometimes values they do vary around the world in different regions of the world, and they might not be shared even between Europe and the US. And this is why perhaps regulations in Europe could be less accessible to foreign companies, because they incorporate values that are more European-like. But this does not mean that American companies can actually access these values if they want to, and they can play a pivotal role in setting objective standards. What the institutions can do is then add on the standards and include the values that are more close to the society where the institutions are active in. So of course in Europe we have our own institutions, and in other places of the world value differ, but I think it's very important in general to always keep in mind that every person has inherent human rights. So for how much we can have, for example, regulation more focused on privacy perhaps in Europe, and while in the US there can be more of a risk-taking focus, which is actually very, very I think interesting to look at, and very also positive for the economy. In general, the line that shouldn't be crossed is this human rights idea when we look forward to develop new innovations and technologies.
Extraordinary. And with the final question that we have for you before we call up our incredible roundtable to join us, I have a concern, Elena, that with all that we've seen when it comes to XR and the metaverse, one, I believe we haven't seen anything yet. In fact, I know we haven't. One. Two, I believe and I know that at this very moment, while we're all gathering here globally now, there are people that are innovating incredible and extraordinary innovations at this intersection of immersive technologies and artificial intelligence, immersive intelligence, if you will. Are we prepared for what's about to be demonstrated and presented when it comes to these two powerful sciences coming together and available for public consumption? Are we prepared for this?
I mean, I tend to be very optimistic, so I think it's always very positive that we're developing new ideas. Maybe what I'm not sure we're completely prepared about is the understanding of how these different innovations will play with each other. Because I think, for example, right now we focus a lot on artificial intelligence. I mean, there are a lot of people that are very much knowledgeable about immersive technology, but it's a discussion that's a bit niche and a bit separate at the moment. While I think that artificial intelligence, with 5G, with blockchain, with XR, they will all be on the metaverse. And especially XR and AI are like the software and the hardware that will help building the metaverse. And I am a bit maybe let's say I'm a bit worried that we're losing a general view on how these technologies will play, and we're focusing too much on the single innovation, and instead of looking at the unicum, let's say. And I think we will be better prepared if we have a more macro approach rather than micro approach.
I wholeheartedly agree with what you just expressed. As quick as it came is as quick as it leaves. The time that we're afforded to be able to spend together. Elena, Gatherverse, please follow and support what she's doing and the work that she's working with, the people that she's working with. This is extremely important. It's not a product, but it's compassion. Thank you for your time. Our gather certainly was well.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thanks.
Indeed. And up next, after having this incredible conversation, we're bringing a powerhouse of a roundtable discussion. We have a lot to explore, and it's going to be guided by Gatherverse's Russell Bundy. Thank you for still staying with us and joining with us. Let's chop wood. May our gather be well.
Hello, I've just frozen. Now I am back. There we go. Welcome to Gatherverse XREvolve Summit 2024. And I have an amazing panel with us today. And I'm very excited about this panel that we have and the interesting roundtable discussion that we're going to be having, which is the collaborative power of immersive technologies and human creativity for all I can't even get my words out. All humankind. And what we'll do to start the roundtable off is we'll do a 30-second introduction around each person, and then we'll get straight into the questions because there's so much to discuss. So we'll start with Liliana. I think that's how you say your name. So 30-second introduction, and yeah, over to you.
Hi, I'm Iuliana, actually. I'm from Romania. I'm in the XR environment since 3 years ago when I discovered it in a creative way for personal usage. And then I started Smart Synergy as a startup in Romania, with which I'm promoting virtual reality experiences for corporate well-being and corporate trainings. And there we can be very, very creative on designing the experience that we deliver for our clients. So this panel, it's actually one of my favorites.
Thank you for joining us, Eliana. And over to you, Razak. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Razak, and I'm really excited to be here today. I'm an extended reality developer with over 3 years experience. I've been in this space, exploring augmented reality, virtual reality, and definitely AI. It's really nice to be here today.
Thank you for joining us, Razak. Ruslan, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Really happy to be here. My name is Ruslan. I'm from Ukraine, Kiev. I think you heard about this country a bit on the news. So I'm an AR, VR, XR expert. I've been involved in multiple projects, cooperating with different brands, different development, different virtual worlds. We have created multiple exhibitions. We were involved in art. We are operating with different collectors to digitalize this art. and various different approach of virtual realms. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for joining us, Rasan. Raphael, welcome.
Yo, hi Russell, hi everyone. I'm happy to be here. I am CEO of XREvolve Technology and founder. I've been in this space for a while now. And what we try to do here in Nigeria is currently raise the awareness of extended reality across board and to try to get a lot of young people into the space. That's for one. And secondly, we're also working with various corporate and private institutions to go into virtual tourism. As a matter of fact, one of the places that we're focused on in Nigeria is in northern Nigeria that seem to have a lot of historical, arsenal. But then they're plagued with insecurity. And so one of the things that we're trying to do to increase tourist appetite is to introduce virtual tourism to see how we can bring that sector back into space. And we're also a lot focused on virtual XR labs, for education to help schools, expand learning and all of that. Hopefully, in the course and event of this program, this session, we'll have a deep dive and we can hear and learn more about it.
Yes, no worries. Well, we've got loads of questions coming up for you, Raphael, so no worries. And last but not least, Devin, welcome to the panel.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. My name is Devin. XR developer and educator. I've been educating children from mid-range, middle school to high school on how to create XR experiences, activated XR experiences and NFTs, many companies in America and in Europe, and I wanted to keep it short and sweet.
Thank you very much, Devin. And I'm going to keep it short and sweet too. So I am the Director of Partnerships or Partnerships Director at Gatherverse. And also I have my own company called Madbob, which I'm the CEO of, which we help women creators basically around the world to, take advantage of the blockchain technology and get involved in the latest technology. And we have an entire platform which we help women creators on. So that's it for me. Right, let's get straight into the questions. So question number one, which is, how can immersive technologies amplify human creativity in unexpected ways? Very, very interesting question. And Devin, I see you nodding your head down there. So Devin, let's bring you on this first.
No problem. And well, I know immersive technologies, especially in my personal experience when working with kids, they have everything at their disposal. They have their phones, they have TikTok, they have Instagram, Snapchat, and they've experienced, filters. They're in the age of filters. They've grew up with them. So nothing necessarily surprises them anymore. But as far as them having that experience with the filters in their phones, they're more adept to creating experiences. A lot of the kids I work with, what I teach, and I ask them to create their own experiences, like the experiences that they can think of in the UI, UX interaction is next level because they've been using this tool all their lives. I can personally say I can think of a great experience for the desktop because that was my era. That was my era. I'm used to, being on the computer. I know how stuff reacts and interacts with certain things on the desktop and mobile as well, but they've literally grown up with these type of things. So it's been amazing to watch them kind of create and really hone their own way to interact with things and just make it really come to life in a way.
No, I completely agree with you. And sorry, my microphone's there. I completely agree with you. And, I think, sort of the younger generations, they're definitely, in the social media world, the social media age. And, you've got a lot of AR filters going on. with fashion and all different music industries, entertainment industries, stuff like that, where they're using all these different filters on social media. So, like you said, it's just their everyday thing. They don't know any difference. They don't know what, like, for example, a USB stick is, right? Or they don't even know what a simple mouse thing is, right? Or sometimes. So there's different examples which they don't understand, because they grew up with just phones and technology and tablets and everything. And I definitely think like the immersive technologies can definitely amplify the human creativity even further, especially incorporated AI. And I definitely think that it's going to be done at another level. So Ileana, we'll bring you into this conversation as well. What are your thoughts on this question?
I think that actually immersive technologies as virtual reality and augmented reality first open up new adventures for creative expression by enabling users to experience and somehow manipulate digital content in three-dimensional space. So this is from the inside on how to be creative in the virtual world or in the augmented world. But we can also be creative. This enhances somehow our creativity also in the external, actually in the current world, in the real reality, because it helps us or challenges our brain to create new environments or to create new scenarios where we can use virtual reality. And I get into this area by somehow a personal experience, but also in a context where a client of mine who was recruiting women to care for the elders in Germany, I had somehow the idea to augment his business with virtual reality, and we trained 5 women from his team on how to use virtual reality with elder care, and they actually offered a better experience to the elders who had mobility issues or who couldn't go travel or who couldn't go do anything else than stay in their home. We gave them new experiences, and we challenged them to go snowboarding, snorkeling, or scuba diving, or we challenged them to travel to Dubai that they never saw that city and they wanted so much in their life, but now they are immobilized on the bed and they cannot walk anymore. And this for them was a very nice experience, because the feedback was very positive from their side, but also from their family side, because that grumpiness of when you are old, that grumpiness somehow dissolved with these experiences. And also using virtual reality for well-being, for meditation. We are delivering solutions in corporations to use virtual reality for meditation for the employees. Many employees are so stressed from their day-by-day tasks, and they need to disconnect, but it's very hard to disconnect because everybody around you is stressed. And if you put a headset on your eyes and you start put also headphones and you start going to a meditation program in virtual reality, you will feel disconnected from everything that happens to around you. And this scenario, just creating this idea of using virtual reality for well-being, for giving people nice experiences, for help them feel better with themselves or with their life, this also brings somehow motivation inside us as human beings, and this keeps somehow our humanity active, but in the same time challenges our creativity, and somehow we develop our creativity with these experiences.
No, I love that. I love the it's a whole new way in being creative and creating this new immersive world to be able to meditate in and to have well-being experiences. And I love that. I didn't realize that there was something like that out there. So it's amazing to see that, that sort of thing is happening, because I actually meditate every day personally myself, even without the immersive world. So if I had the immersive world to go into as well, that would be even cooler, like from my own personal perspective.
I recommend it.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Ilyana. Absolutely, I love that. Which leads us on to the next question, which is what collaborative projects could emerge from the intersection of immersive tech and global art? Now, there's two art experts right here. Well, I'm sure everyone's an art expert here, actually, but Ruslan will bring you onto this, and then Raphael will go over to you as well after. So, Ruslan, do you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Thank you for this wonderful question, because we live right now really in a wonderful world where we are blending this shift between real world and virtual technologies. We try to bring the art to everyone and everywhere. So basically in this you can be in any kind of museum and experience any kind of art just where you are. And that's the crucial importance to bring it and to do it right and give this atmosphere, give this feel which artists have put it in his artwork. And this unimaginable atmosphere could be bring to everyone to experience it. We really were art world a bit struggle when we met a pandemic, when people were all closed, and really this, let's say like, bringing this art to everyone where he is was a crucial thing to generalize art, to give it a more social experience, to give people like all over the world ability to present themselves. We created more than 100 exhibitions and we really enjoyed the artwork all around the world. So by immersive technology, you can bring this art to an unimaginable level, the level which physics is defined, where we can do whatever our imagination allows us. And we do not have these boundaries on a creativity, how we create it, and how we deliver it. So it can be sound, it can be generated AI textures, it could be generated even the whole virtual world for specifically for a person. And really this gives us a new opportunity for everyone to be more social and collaborative. So by working with different collections, we can put a lot of this experience and create those virtual museums, which could be accessed by everyone. And this is have immensely impact on education and ability for our children to experience art, not only in physical terms, by experience it in where are they located, in their room, in with their headsets, or any kind of our devices, to see it one-to-one scale and to see it with no limitations to effort to create it. So I think we are just in the beginning of this great road, and a lot of things will appear further, because right now artists are highly affected by this AI thing, AI generative bots, by AI generative systems, and truly the art is booming, and it give it a new push. It doesn't make sense that AI will fully, let's say, like change the art in terms of we will see only artificial. I think it is an amazing thing to inspire and really to create something which is on your vision. So further future is amazing in terms of our art experience and art knowledge. And we are definitely on the right direction. Thank you, Russell.
Absolutely. And let's talk about other arts as well. Like, for example, you know, music or entertainment or comedy. Like, these are all different sort of art intersections, which are also like a part of this category as well. And, you know, I believe as well, especially on sort of the music and entertainment side of things, that, you know, there's going to be sort of new venues being popped up, you know, like, for example, imagine having the O2 Arena inside of the metaverse, right? And being able to go there into the O2 Arena and still get the atmosphere and still watch that person performing, right?
Absolutely. That's a huge thing which will augment and complement the, all forms of art. If you can just create a picture, AI can help you to create music. AI can help you to inspire you about atmosphere on it. So really huge things ahead.
Yeah, the projects are endless, and I think there's just going to be so many new events and so many sort of event opportunities. New venues being made. New events to go to. Like, there's just going to be so many sort of projects or collaborative projects that emerge from all this. It's going to be amazing. And Raphael, I can see you, getting your fingers ready to join us. So Raphael, come on, join the conversation. What would you like to add?
Yeah, thank you, Russell. I think he pretty much said quite a lot of things. So, like I was saying in the beginning, I live in northern Nigeria where there's a lot of strong cultural heritage, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of historical, context to that. And so, this had actually been a place that really attracted a lot of tourism. I'm talking of on a global scale. There's a lot. As a matter of fact, in recent times, tourism used to be one of the strongest contributors to the country's GDP from northern Nigeria, precisely because of the historical, things that they had. If you know the legend of Queen Amina, the woman, the woman warrior, we have that. You can Google that. It's really a thing, in this place. And of course, she is from Kaduna, northern Nigeria, where I am. But you see, and in recent years, we've been plagued by insecurity. Okay, and so all of that really drew that economy down, and so we don't see a lot of tourists, stuff and all that. And so there's not so much thought, going into tourism from this state, from this region, so to speak. And so what we've done, I'm talking since last year, is to start to have conversations around the things we can do. Of course, the situation is improved. The security situation is improved. The government has, come up to speed, and things are drastically improving. Of course, we're getting investors coming in and having conversations. But then the initial fear that, contributed to the loss of the tourist attractions and all of that still lingers. So people are saying, what ifs? There's still the what ifs there around. And so there's need to do something to help us bring back, the tourist appetite. And so what we're doing to that is to introduce what we call, on the general scale, tourism technology. But of course, as we sit down to talk about it, it is actually virtual reality in tourism. So what we're doing is to go to these tourism sites and do a fine capturing of it, put that whole thing into a wonderful spatial experience, and then have people experience it from all over the world. And that is changing the game as I speak. As a matter of fact.
Sorry just to jump in, but on terms of the sort of the art side of this, like the global art, for Northern Nigeria, like, do you think that it'll bring people to like be able to see like the artistic side of Northern Nigeria and bring that sort of immersive side for there?
Absolutely, and that's the plan. Because of course, when you talk about tourism, it's on a global scale. You're not trying to, you're not trying to do the tourism business for the people who are within. It is for you that is within, but then it is to the people who are outside the country, it's to the foreigners to come in and enjoy what's there. But then, in terms of their appetite, we're looking at it's down as we speak. But we're already seeing an improvement, in tourist appetite as they start to interact virtually in this environment. Oh wow, this is possible. This is here. Oh, the next time I'm in Nigeria, I'm going to visit it. Oh, the next time I'm here, I'm going to do this. And so we're putting things in place, and the government, are supporting to do that. That's on a project level. But then I'd also like to add that on a very individual and personal level, before the COVID, I used to belong to a group of friends. We call ourselves the Adventurers. We do a lot of traveling. We visit a lot of sites. If there are new sites or new place that pops up somewhere, we come together and we visit. We're quite busy people, but then we try to make time to enjoy ourselves. But something happened, and people began to travel. Of course, people got married and left town. People got work and relocated, and stuff and all of that. And so we didn't have the opportunity to really travel like we would normally do. Right. But and thank God for virtual reality. What we do now is that
sorry to jump in, but I know sorry to just jump in, but like I said, I definitely think that the VR is going to help the tourism industry, absolutely, and I think it's going to help a multitude of different industries. And I'm also aware of time at the moment because I know we've got a lot of questions to get through. But Raphael, thank you so much for sharing that with us. But we've got to jump on to the next question. That's why I had to jump in, because I'm just like, we're on time. So Thank you so much, Raphael, for sharing that. And Devin, we will get to you with the next question as well. You can jump in on that and then give like 30 seconds of what are you going to say on this topic. So on to the next question, which is, how might immersive technologies redefine the workspace and creative professionals? We'll jump in with you, Devin. Then we'll go to you, Rasak, and then we'll go from there. So Devin, quickly 30 seconds on the last bit, and then jump onto this one.
No problem. I just wanted to say I have a brother here in Oakland, California, who actually created an app called Black Terminus AR, where he literally encapsulates street art, and he works with the artists locally, globally, around the world. He's been to Tanzania, he's been to all sorts of countries, and he activates murals, street art, all through the application that he's created, and it's brought a lot of people together, and it's connected artists with an immersive tool that they can showcase their art and bring people together. It's just
cool.
Been a beautiful thing. So I just wanted to speak on that.
Thanks for sharing that, Devin. And this question.
And how might immersive technology redefine the workplace for creative? Well, I know personally, I have a friend who he doesn't use his computer anymore. He uses his Meta Vision Pro for everything. He doesn't have, he still has his cell phone, but he mainly does all his stuff, all of his 3D modeling, all of his work, all of his conference calls. He does them all in the Meta Vision Pro.
Wow.
And I've witnessed this personally, and it's kind of scary. Like,
I mean,
he's literally living in the future.
That is a crazy. Yeah. I mean, I love it though. I like the fact that we're moving that way, and that, people are going to be having their meetings, on VR headsets rather than be on the Zoom call, right? Which is going to be, give even more immersive experiences. And I love that, Devin. And yeah, honestly, I think that's great to see. Rasak, over to you as well. What are you seeing from your side of things? Are you seeing a lot of immersive technologies redefine sort of the workspace for creative professionals?
So basically, here in Nigeria, there's all this kind of traffic everywhere where people just have to like stay at home because of many other things, right? So I feel like, but personally, I've explored using virtual realities for many of my meetings, trying to create this type of, actually, I've designed a lot of space in the metaverse that you can definitely have this kind of meetings, very conducive, immersive environment. So this has actually, take me far away from the traffic. I don't need to like go outside to, or go down to the office space, to have these meetings, when I can just put on my, is it Vision Pro? Is it the Meta headset? I have this kind of immersive stuff. And also, actually, there was this project I was working on, and it actually has to do with inviting different collaborators, different tech collaborators, and I had to I had to have a meeting with them. What we just had to do was, create this 3D model on Blender. Then we had to just input it on one of the available software that can host this immersive interaction. And it actually ended well. Even we're actually having another exhibition coming by July, that is actually happening, and people can definitely still try and explore themselves, see how this actually works, instead of going to the office many times. And so it's actually a cool experience.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I remember when I tried my first time trying to create something inside the metaverse. Like this was a couple of years ago when Meta came out, and yeah, I just it made me feel sick. But I did get to make sort of the building and build up. It was actually in crypto voxels, so or they're called voxels now. But yeah, very, very interesting, and thank you for sharing that, Razak. It's so cool, like the different sort of immersive ways that you can do things now, and that's not including AI, by the way, as well. So and now on to the next question, which is in what ways can immersive tech foster new forms of cultural expression? Raphael, we'll bring you on this, and then Ileana will go over to you after.
Okay, in terms of cultural expression, it's interesting because, like I said, in this part of the world, we're really cultural people, right? And I think that one of the things that it does basically is that it helps bring everybody into one place, you know. And in terms of storytelling, because you can't cultural when you talk of the cultural, you know, heritage type stuff, where it's basically storytelling, right? And so in
Oh, Raphael, you're broken up. Okay, Ileana, over to you. Do you want to jump on this?
Okay, so I think immersive technologies can enable new forms of cultural expression by blending physical with digital realities.
Boom.
For example, the cultural heritage sites can be augmented with digital layers of historical narratives and interactive elements, offering visitors a deeper and more engaging understanding. Also, digital storytelling can evolve with interactive narratives that allows users to explore different cultural stories in a somehow non-linear fashion. Also, I remember now that I applied for a project, for a funding, for a project where we wanted to introduce a concert, a symphonic orchestra concert into virtual reality, actually to stream it into virtual reality and share this experience to elders and people with disabilities. This is
That's
a new
amazing.
way where you can also foster new forms of cultural expression, because the ones who were used to just sing on the stage using their instruments, their musical instruments, they now know that they can arrive also in the face of those who cannot join their concert because they have some disabilities. And this is another way where we can combine the humanity side with the technology and creativity. And this is, I think, a very good blending. And also in dance and theater, we can incorporate AR elements that can interact with performers and create dynamic and somehow evolving the performances that engage audience in novel ways.
Absolutely, and I think there's just so many forms that can be done, right? I mean, how you're saying, very good sort of examples, and I definitely think that there's even other examples, like for example, you could even bring London into there, right? And then have that cultural form of it, or cultural expression, or even like the America side of things, and bringing that into sort of the immersive world. So I definitely think there's so many different forms of cultural expression which can be done, that I think is amazing that you can get those sort of different experiences from around the world without even having to be there, like how you were saying earlier, Eliana, about traveling to different places and being able to go to those destinations in an instant. Which and Razak as well. Obviously Nigeria, and what you guys are doing over there. I'm curious to hear sort of what new forms of cultural expression that you can share with us.
Yeah, okay. So one interesting thing about this particular question is this is actually something we're working towards here, and it's something we've achieved already. So we've tried and create this kind of digital twin experience where you can actually have exactly what you're going to see, maybe probably going to an there's this kind of gathering that we are always trying to create within the environment. So instead of people traveling down there, or instead of people going down there, we can just create exactly like what we are seeing in the real world, then put it in on the metaverse. So it's actually something really interesting that gives this type of immersive interaction, that gives you this kind of immersive view that I'm actually going to see something I'm meant to see physically also in the virtual world. So it's actually something that is really, really cool. And it's actually something we're doing here. And, can't really wait to share with everyone when it's finally out.
No, absolutely. I would look forward to seeing that as well, because I want to, I would like to experience Nigeria. I've never been to Nigeria, so it'd be a great place to experience and visit, and even see what the difference is between being in the immersive world and also being in the physical world, and also like the AR and the mixed reality and all that sort of stuff. Seeing what that's like too. And yeah, I love that. And yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, Razak. Which leads me on to my next question, because I know we're running out of time, which is, in what ways can immersive tech... Oh, sorry. It just reloaded now. How can immersive environments be used to solve complex creative challenges? Rosanne, you are nodding your head on this one. You're excited about this one.
I'm really excited about this one. This one, firstly, it's a very crucial question, because for each artist, this creates a sandbox. Sandbox where it can manipulate their art, where it can in real time test it, do many variances, which really cannot be possibly done in real world. So all we are right now with you, all creators are responsible here for additionally creating this digital heritage, which creates right now. We are creating this art which will influence further all generations, and specifically the ways how we find to preserve it and save it. It's the most crucial way and mission which lay on us. And right now, in those sandboxes, designers, architects, artisans can work all together and bring this specific idea and this specific art, which we see exactly, which is not even possible in real world. So we are really on this glance, and we are really into it. So I hope it helped you with this question.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, that there is just so many components to this, and there is so many challenges, and yeah, honestly, I think that really sort of helps and resonates, with us, Rosanne. So thank you for sharing that. And Raphael, we can bring you back in now because you're here. So Raphael, do you want to share your opinion on this as well?
Thank you, and sorry about the network here. So very quickly, I'll just say that simulation and experimentation, right? So the VR or spatial computing provides a really interesting space for cost-effective simulation and experimentation, right? And so you're not, if you're in the virtual world, you're not exactly using any physical object that can be damaged or can be lost or that you have to throw away or change your stuff. You can just rework and iterate until you get your stuff right. So I think that's one of the ways that it helps. And also, just to put it into perspective, there's a movie makeup I just watched, and usually for people to act in some of this animated environment, they'd have to be in a green screen to do that and all of that. But now actors are able to put on a VR headset and actually be in the environment that would have they'd have been in, and so they can now what it is, not on imaginative walls or imaginative objects and stuff. They can see what they're interacting with. If it was a dragon, they can see the dragon there. If it was a wall, they can see the wall there and do all of that. So I think that's really solving, all of that problem in the creative space as used to be before.
Absolutely. And yeah, no, like I've seen that sort of thing. And when, like, for example, a DJ is like performing and they got the headset on and they can see like the crowds like jumping up and down and stuff like that, that sort of immersive sort of experience is just and then being able to experience that too, it's just so amazing. Which obviously allows the sort of creator to kind of get involved with what they're doing and how they're performing and how the crowd's reaction, etc. So anyway, next question, because I know we've only got like literally a few minutes. So, which is, what is the potential of immersive technologies to democratize artistic creation? And Devin will bring you in on this. So, what is the potential of immersive technologies to democratize artistic creation from your side, from your point of view?
Well, from my point of view, the whole phrase of democratize, I mean, art is so the opposite of it. Art is freedom of expression. Art is in many ways self-reflection, self-perspective in so many ways. So how the potential of immersive technologies being able to democratize it, it's already happened, and I think that's what's happening now with AI.
Absolutely.
It's definitely taking the art out of the artist's hands. But I've also seen many artists say, you know what, I'm not going to be one to not utilize this tool. And I've seen artists create AI art and then amplify it. You know, I've seen it put in so many different ways. So me personally, I can't necessarily say, oh, it's killing our artists, because there are lots of artists who are saying, I'm not going to be left behind. I'm just going to utilize what this technology can do. You know, but for the artists who are still on the fence or not exactly with what AI is doing, I understand. Still hone your art, still do what you need to do. That makes you a better artist because you understand the fundamentals, you understand what it takes. But I would encourage you to see past that the veil of, I won't go past it. I encourage you to try it. Experiment with your art. Use AI and see what you can come up with, because I've seen amazing collaborations between artists and AI, and I'm seeing what it can do. So with that,
well said, Devin, and I completely agree with that so much. One of the things I am seeing is that, you know, everyone is going to be able to create art, or everyone is going to be able to create music, and everyone's going to be able to, you know, create, you know, new immersive videos and be like a video creator, right? Everyone's basically going to be a creator, right? In some sort of aspect, whether it's music, art, video, whatever it may be, creating buildings, fashion designing, whatever it may be, everyone's going to be a creator in some sort of way. And that's thanks to AI, right? The combination of the human and the AI. And I guess that's the way it's going to be democratized, so to speak, is that everyone can be it rather than just like the few kind of thing. But I definitely think, like, on the artistic side and the creative side, for sure, like, you know, the artists and the creators still have that sort of mindset on how to create it and what to do and what commands to put in and how to make it very sort of expressive. So I don't think it will replace them that way or democratize that way, so to speak. But in terms of everyone can be a creator, that's the democratizing bit, which I absolutely think is the key point to that. So, Razak, let's bring you onto this as well, because you're a creator yourself, you're an artist yourself. So, Razak, do you want to share your point of view on this?
Okay, so basically, if we should actually look at it in this way of actually the potential for immersive technologies, so I want to believe like this technology actually have the ability to process access to tools and even resources that are previously available. Okay, let's just look at it this way. If you're trying to explore a diverse background of an individual, right, we can also look it into this way of trying to create this kind of expression or better.
Oops, you have disconnected. Okay, next question, which is how might immersive tech help preserve and share traditional crafts and skills? Ruslan, we'll bring you on this, and then Ileana will go over to you next.
Thank you for this question. That's a really important question, which I speak earlier. This may connect our digital heritage to this, because we have various cultures all over the world. And we need to, let's say, like, dive more deep into this and give ability and all the world to experience it, to visit it. And I was fascinated by this story of a warrior woman, which I would definitely explore much more after this panel. And again, this is one more opportunity for us to be more knowledgeable, more understandable, to see a lot of these cultures and experience them how we have never before. And this give us let's say like more interconnection and more understanding of each other, more see our roots and help people further to remember them, to see them, to experience them, and really to preserve them, because it's the most important, I think it's one of the most important of a mission, because I want my children to see all these beauties of the world and to understand their nature, their storytelling, and their artists which bring them to us. Really, thank you for this question, Russell.
Thank you, Ruslan. And thank you for everybody for joining the panel. I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap this up because we've run out of time. However, please do follow everybody on the panel here on LinkedIn, and, you know, continue discussions over there. Obviously, if you have any questions, you know, go ahead and ask them. Do connect, do, you know, cross-connect with each other and have interesting discussions. And that is it from me and this amazing panel. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And Christopher, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
Welcome to the incredible world of AI-powered virtual environments. Today, we will be discussing how these technologies are not just shaping the future, but also making it a more equitable and ethical place. Let's explore how. First things first, let's break down what we mean by AI-powered virtual environments. Imagine hyper-realistic digital worlds where cutting-edge AI algorithms collaborate with virtual or augmented reality. These environments can be anything from educational simulations that give immersive learning experiences to virtual workspaces that allow geographically dispersed teams to collaborate in real time. Even social platforms can be transformed. They can be transformed by facilitating connections between people who might never meet in the physical world due to language barriers or cultural differences. Pretty cool, right? These virtual spaces have the potential to be game changers for equality. They can dismantle physical barriers and create a world where everyone can participate. Imagine a student in a rural area attending a virtual lecture by a world-renowned professor, or a person with a social anxiety attending a virtual support group where they can feel comfortable sharing their experiences or traumas or ideas. These environments can level the playing field for education, employment opportunities, and social interactions. AI can also be used to translate languages in real time within these virtual spaces, facilitating cross-cultural communication and understanding. Now, let's talk about how AI itself can be used to promote ethical standards within these environments. We can develop algorithms that identify and remove biases in areas like hiring practices or workspaces or content moderation within social VR platforms. Imagine a virtual world where AI flags discriminatory language and redirects users towards respectful communication. The possibilities are exciting and endless. Of course, there are challenges. We need to ensure strong privacy protection for the vast amount of data collected in these environments. Regulations need to evolve alongside these rapidly developing technologies. And as these virtual worlds become more and more real, we face the question about online identity, permissions, and the potential for manipulation. That's why strong ethical guidelines and user education is very essential. But despite these challenges, the potential for positive impact is incredible. AI-powered virtual environments can revolutionize education, healthcare, and even civic engagement. Imagine Personalized therapy sessions conducted in a safe virtual environment tailored to address specific phobias or anxieties of anybody. Or picture virtual town halls where citizens from all walks of life can participate in discussions and decision making processes regardless of location. The possibilities are endless, limited only by our imagination and our commitment to ethical development. In essence, AI powered virtual environments are powerful tools for building a more equitable and ethical future. By harnessing the power of AI and virtual reality, we can create inclusive, diverse, and ethically driven spaces and empower individuals and communities. Let's keep exploring and innovating, but always remember the values of equality, diversity, and ethical responsibility. Thank you, everyone.
My name is Maya. I am Lebanese, based in Madrid, and I'm the founder and CEO of Not Keeping It Real. Today, I want us to imagine a world where walls dissolve, gravity doesn't exist, and lying on clouds is as easy as putting on a pair of headsets. This isn't science fiction, and this isn't a Harry Potter movie. This is what XR can do. As a child, I devoured Disney movies and science fiction. So much so that it led me to interior architecture, where I aimed to design spaces that felt like you're stepping into inside of a story. But I always felt like this isn't what I wanted to be doing for the rest of my life. And then I discovered XR, the definition of truly being in a whole new world. Suddenly, I wasn't limited by the laws of physics, and gravity became merely a suggestion. Entire worlds limited only by our imaginations are accessible by a click of a button. This is the power of XR. It's the ability to architect not just buildings, but immersive experiences for all of us. Here at Not Keeping It Real, that's exactly what we do. We aim to connect technology with narratives to build immersive experiences in mixed reality, virtual reality, and Web3. Our aim isn't just to build, it's to immerse and to reflect ourselves into these spaces. We want to trigger feelings and forge connections and teleport users to spaces and worlds that satisfy their daily needs. Imagine a student of history being teleported into a virtual ancient Rome, or a surgeon, for example, practicing a complex procedure inside an operating room. Imagine shoppers trying on virtual furniture inside their actual living room before buying them. Extended realities have the power to reshape the way we live, learn, and connect. The key lies in pushing the boundaries to build brighter futures for all of us. These experiences become not just possibilities, but realities. And it's not the future, it's the present, and it's happening right now. Sometimes I remind myself of a saying by one of my favorite architects, Fujimoto, and I thought of sharing it with you guys today. The future is a spreading matrix rather than a straight line. What I am making now can be seen as seeds for the future, although those seeds are created by the past seeds of past histories. So it is a continuity of creations, ideas, and inspiration. I think we should let XR be a tool to cultivate those seeds and to build upon the past, to create a future filled with connection, imagination, and endless possibilities.
There, this is my talk titled Please Don't Stand By. We'll be talking about getting you involved, working with diversity, equity, and inclusion organizations within the XR industry. I've worked in games for 20 years, 15 years with Women in Games International, and the past 8, I've moved my career into XR and VR. And when people come up and talk to me about DEI, it always seems like there's tons of sincere interest, but very little action. If you look at the developer satisfaction survey, we all agree that we want diversity in our workplaces, our industry, and in the content we're creating. So what's up with that gap? Well, today I'm going to try to get you more involved with these two theories that we'll discuss, bystander effect and the volunteer's dilemma, and then I'll talk about the call to action to break down barriers to get you more involved. A few years ago, I was a judge for Games for Change's VR category, and this particular application was so impactful and inspired this talk. So in Bystanding the Feingold Syndrome, the player experiences being transported back to the riverbank in Tel Aviv in 2009, where Jasmine Feingold, an Israeli rowing champion, has been capsized and trapped under her boat unconscious. You continue to stand on the riverbank with other witnesses as she's submerged for 5 minutes, and the tensions rise with each passing second. But nobody steps up to help her. I felt so helpless, and this was my introduction to the bystander effect. So what is it? This illustration is great. It shows you that it's basically ignoring an emergency because you think someone else is going to do it. And it's a psychological theory that has observed that the greater number of bystanders, the less likely any person is going to help with a person in distress. It's also known as the Kitty Genovese syndrome. So is our industry suffering from bystander effect when it comes to DEI initiatives? The game theory volunteer's dilemma also talks about Kitty Genovese. I have the bit.ly here if you want to watch the full video. But summarized, this is what Kitty's tragic tale is. In 1964, in New York City, she was walking home from a very late shift at 3 a.m. She was sexually abused and brutally murdered on the street. The incident occurred in front of an apartment building where 37 people witnessed the crime, but not one of them called the police. And that's just insane. Is there a rational explanation as to why people didn't act? That's what this game theory looks to explain. So I don't have time to go into it, but they broke down player 1 and 2. So just with 2 people, you assume that at least if one person calls, she'll be saved, right? So between 2 people, you have a 75% chance that someone's going to get her help. This is all due to the Nash equilibrium, and I don't have time to explain it today, but I do have a QR code here if you're interested, and it's very fascinating. But for the purposes today, let me just tell you that the math does check out. If only one bystander's help is needed for good, and then the other bystanders are less likely to help because they can ride free on the efforts of other bystanders. But why does this happen? We have fear, we have lack of skills or perceived lack of skills, a time issue, or people just assume that someone better than them will step up to do it. Are these good reasons? I don't think so. If you're worried that you won't fit in or any other issues, I want you to combat your fear. If you're worried that you have a lack of skills, I want to let you know this is a great way to build skills, and it takes all different types of personalities. So reach out and find out what they need. If it's a time issue, I think that you'll find that your companies will support you and that you'll also benefit from this in your career. So it's a good time investment. Or people think that somebody better will do it. I will say the DEI budgets and personnel have been slashed in the last 2 years. So rather than asking what difference can I make, the better question is what harm will be done if you do nothing? So in summary, I want you to confront your fears, embrace areas of growth, and fight your excuses to get involved. All you need to do is find the right group. And as you can see here, we have so many. Once you find that group, they'll help you find out where to start and how to help. If you're worried about finding the right level of commitment, please pause on this chart and you can tell if you have a small time, you're an introvert, or if you want to do it often or only once, there's an option for you. So remember, you are what you do, not what you'll say you'll do. Please stay in touch and have a great day.
We are live. We are live. Welcome back, everyone, to Gatherverse XREvolve Summit Day 2. I am excited for this panel talking about the future of community in the immersive age of AI. My panelists, how are you doing today?
Exceptional. Thank you.
Yes, Russell. I'm so glad to have you join us. Lovely to have you here. This is going to be a great conversation. I'm really excited for it. Let's just start with some intros. Let's go around and kind of share who you are and what you're working on, and then we'll get into the questions we have for today.
Shall I start?
Or Russell, you want to start?
Sure. And then okay. So my name is Russell. I'm Director of Partnerships at Gatherverse, where I do all the partnerships at Gatherverse, pretty much. And I also have my own company called Mabob, which I am CEO of. And it's basically focused on helping women creators across the world, basically, and allowing them to use immersive technology to be able to, monetize their work and, be able to, go into metaverses and stuff like that. So basically, we have an entire platform and ecosystem which we do to help women creators across the world. So that is me. Over to you, Kristen.
Amazing. Next, Attila, would you like to go?
Sure. My name is Atilla. Actually, I'm doing not only, of course, I get this XREvolve, but also I'm doing PhD in AI and Metaverse at University of Warsaw. I'm a PhD researcher as well, and also I'm a founder of VolareVers. Basically, we are focusing on learning and learning experience and learning methodologies in immersive environments, and which actually leads us to virtual worlds that we are creating some virtual experience and training and growth hub actually in immersive spaces. So in VolareVers, especially in VolareVers, we are focusing on XR-based training, learning part, as well as these virtual worlds that we can just, let's say, improve, or maybe let's not say improve, but let's change the learning experiences of individuals.
Awesome, thank you for that. Next up.
Who wants to go next?
Should I go next?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. I'm Helen Lundström Irwin, and I was just trying to add my my credentials underneath. I see you all did it, but it's okay. I'm an author. I'm a novelist, and I write historical novels. And one of my novels, Sour Milk in Sheep's Wool, is about a woman who has a cafe where she meets her women friends to fight for suffrage and women's rights at the turn of the 20th century. And this cafe is now on Engage, in the metaverse, on Engage. And I was very inspired by my character and her community and what she did with her women friends. So I'm really doing the same thing that she does in my book. And I have a community in a cafe in Lund. That's the place, the setting of the novel, Lund, Sweden. And the cafe is just the way I imagined how it looked in my novel, and it is set in 1918, which is very significant because in 1918 Sweden had its first nationally organized suffrage march. So there are some banners and other details inside the cafe that shows that history. So that's what I do, and it's changed my life. Really, it's been amazing. And the communities, I can safely say that it's thriving. And I have events there every week and every month and for holidays and depending on the month. And we have discussions there, and it's fantastic.
So good. I'm excited to dive deeper in and learn more about that, Helen, as we continue. Daniel, thank you for joining us. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you for having me. So I'll give you guys my super quick background. I was in San Francisco working in kind of the classic technology industry, so software companies in San Francisco for a long time. And then I kind of got bit by the XR bug, as I think any of us that are here have. I'm a self-taught developer, and I started developing XR content, and it was like this light bulb moment. And the first time I was inside of a creation that I built myself, was this moment where I was like, this is amazing. I need to bring this to as many people as possible. So I started developing more and more content, and I felt that the tools were not adequate. Like, it was still quite hard. The learning curve is really hard. The tools are kind of inadequate. And so like a little bit of a crazy person coming from San Francisco, I started a company to make tools to make it easier for kind of beginner to intermediate level developers to make their own custom games and apps. I really like all of the various platforms that are out there. Helen, you mentioned Engage, but there's also many others. VR Chat, Spatial.io had a moment there that maybe not so great anymore, but had a moment. Altspace was really popular for a while. I spent a lot of time in Altspace, and all these platforms are awesome, but they're not yours. So you're still building something inside somebody else's platform. And so that was my inspiration to build CyberHub as the company, and Foundry is the product we're working on as an SDK on Unity for people to kind of have everything that they have in those platforms, but it's something that they own and operate and control themselves. And I think my original inspiration, like many of us here, is science fiction as well.
So cool. Awesome. Thank you for that, Daniel. And getting to our first question, I'm going to start with you, Helen. And the question is, how will AI redefine social connectivity in immersive environments? And as someone who owns spaces in immersive environments, how can you see AI redefining social connectivity from your perspective?
Well, I am really curious and have plans, hopefully in the future, where I can have my character Hannah inside my cafe, who can answer questions about the history and also what the cafe is about. And also some other characters in my book that are fighting for reproductive justice, who will be kind of outside, because it's controversial today too, but especially 100 years ago, it was even more controversial in a way. So if I could have characters outside walking around and kind of talking quietly about this movement and show history and how that really was, I think that would really, really help bring people together and understand how it was like in the past. And I also think it can help just with what I'm doing currently in the cafe. If there's somebody there that can answer questions and can explain that, yes, on Thursday, Helen has it's called fika. It means coffee hour in Swedish. She has fika, and it's a casual coffee hour. Come by, and that will bring more members in, more guests in. So definitely AI can be very beneficial to our community for sure. I haven't done that yet, but I know Engage just launched there. They have historical figures. I think Rosa Parks and Benjamin Franklin is there that you can go and ask questions. So it's really very interesting.
Yeah, I love that. And I can see the vision there for your space, having someone there at all times to welcome people, no matter where they're coming from in the world or what time they arrive. They have someone there to welcome them and give them information. That's super cool. And now Russell, heading over to you, but as someone who's just creating these immersive spaces for women, how do you see AI kind of revolutionizing the connectivity that's possible?
Yeah, I mean, God, this is a big question. To be honest, I think AI will redefine everything, and what I mean by that is, AI will be able to communicate with everybody, right? It doesn't matter who you are or, where you are in the world or what you do, right? It'll be able to bring that sort of connectivity between each other a lot more closer because of the AI. And AI, you'll be able to communicate directly, right? As if they're like a human or just like another person you're speaking to, because they're going to be that so advanced and that socially sort of intelligent. It's like as if I'm talking to you, Christian, right? And that's kind of like what the social connectivity will do, is by bringing people together through AI and having those sort of conversations directly with AI and even just getting like information within a second, right? I go to AI and say, hey, can you give me like this information about the such and such artist who's performing on the platform, Boom, instantly, okay, And then that will also still bring the connectivity even closer, because if I can learn about that artist and the artist who's performing on stage and what they do, that allows me to socially connect with them even better. And then that means I can find information about them, who they are as a person, what they do, what their values are. And again, that will help with the social connectivity between sort of, various different people. So I believe AI is redefined a lot and is a big question. And I've tried to summarize it as best as I possibly can. So that's my thoughts on it anyway.
I love that. I think you did a great job. It seems like just the education piece of it is going to be very beneficial and encouraging people to be more social, right? If they have more information about the spaces that they're in and who they're interacting with, it just creates for better dialogue. And the second question, I'm going to bring you and Attila and Daniel in. Attila, as someone is doing research right now on metaverse and AI, what type of innovations in AI do you see that have the potential to transform community engagement in virtual spaces? We start with you and then go to Daniel.
Sure. It's a good question, because I would like to first define the change actually in our the whole community. Because if we are talking about the engagement, we are talking about the communication, and actually AI, immersive text, etc. All these things are related to the change in the means of the communication. And if we are changing the means of the communication of people, individuals, actually we are talking about a different type of the transformation, let's say even the digital transformation for the community, not only for people. But if we see that, especially in terms of the innovation part, especially I will take it from the learning perspective. I will analyze the point from the learning perspective. If we are talking about the experience, even in the communication, in the immersive, in social events, in learning, we are talking about the experience. And as long as we change, or as long as we affect the experience in immersive worlds through AI, through some other tools, actually, then we are talking about the transformation of our communication and transformation of our engagement. So here we have some innovations, of course. What is that? Of course, the change, especially in learning, I can definitely say that in the future, we should expect virtual assistants, not even assistants, virtual trainers, because even right now, as a prototype or different, as a software, it is available. They are teachers, they are L&D directors, they are learning and development consultants, and they are talking to you. And they are talking to you as a human. And they are giving you more maybe sophisticated, perspectives or comments, recommendations, whatever you say, more than a human. I think this is very much remarkable in our terms, because we are focusing on here transforming the engagement. And this is, of course, one part, but also it's it has a role to engage the people who have common interests. And we are actually categorizing based on the behavioral analysis, based on the interest, based on the social activities, and etc., etc. And especially in our virtual world, we are categorizing people based on their behaviors. And it's literally, it's like a pure behavioral data analysis of each avatars. And in that case, AI can actually get, let's say, a crucial role to engage people who have common interests, who can be maybe get along, or who can have some different project with different aspects. Just looking at that point from the different aspects or different angles, AI can just get it done, and AI just can get these people being together. I think this is very much important point, especially in immersive, especially in virtual worlds, because we are actually kind of rely on the avatars' behaviors. Not like the faces, especially in VR. We are not focusing on faces. Even if you focus on faces, you are focusing on avatars' faces. So in that case, we should definitely think about first behavioral part, and the second, how we transform the communication, especially in virtual environments, in terms of engagement. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you for breaking that down so detailed and specific. That was really good. Moving over to you, Daniel, as a visionary and someone who's just at the forefront of these technologies, what innovations in AI are you seeing that can transform community engagement in virtual spaces?
Sure. So I want to take a slightly more technical response to this question and also bring it closer to today. So my team, we've been working with AI a lot in terms of prototypes, but generally speaking, it hasn't really quite been there yet. And one of the the fastest innovations we've seen in this most recent ChatGPT 4.0 is the speed at which you can communicate with the AI. And that is going to unlock so many different things. So a lot of what we've all been talking about here, a lot of what we're all envisioning in our minds for interacting with AIs in terms of in an immersive environment, it's not possible until the speed, the latency is brought down to near human levels. So in our earliest prototypes, it was so slow. You would speak to the avatar and you'd have to do, voice to text to ChatGPT. ChatGPT took its sweet time getting its response back to you, and then response back to text, and then back to speech, and then the avatar talks to you. And when that latency of talking to an avatar, an AI avatar, is that high, we're not there yet. But a lot of the innovations we're seeing now is that the AIs themselves are getting a little smaller, a little leaner, they're a little faster. The latency is coming down tremendously. And also, they're getting a lot more natural. I think all of us have had, if any of you guys have been playing with ChatGPT for a while, I've been almost a daily user for quite a long time now. You can see that like each model, the improvement is so tremendous in terms of the naturalness. And so what we're seeing in the speed and the pace, and everyone says, is AI going to be there in the next little bit? I'm like, have you seen the pace at which it's already gone in the last 6 months? Like, just imagine the next 6 years. And it's going to be near unimaginable. And so all the things that we're thinking about in science fiction, someone's going to fall in love with an AI. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to absolutely happen. Like, or it's going to be their personal teacher. That's going to happen. It's going to happen for sure. Or you're going to have, employees or coworkers or friends that are AIs. It's going to happen, whether it's 6 years or whether it's 10 years, and it's going to happen. And I think the thing that I think that's most interesting about the interplay between AI and immersive spaces is that it gives the AI an embodiment. It gives the AI an actual spatial presence. And I've had so much fun doing really crazy stuff. I'm not, Helen, I'm not an actual full-blown writer, but I do write a lot of stuff. And I've used ChatGPT to create a little writer's room with all my favorite science fiction authors. And it's amazing to be bouncing ideas off of like my own AI version of Neil Stephenson or Brandon Sanderson is a fantasy author, and having them help you out as you're writing through something. It's amazing. But imagine that exact same experience in a room where you actually feel like you're in a room with them. And the avatar looks and feels like them. Now, you get into all kinds of IP issues as well, of like what happens if we all have our own little versions of Neil Stephenson in our pocket. But putting that aside for a moment, the near-term innovations are happening, and it's happening super fast. And the one I'm most excited about is the latency coming down to near zero. That's when it opens up a lot more interesting stuff.
Can I just quickly jump in? I just want to finish on kind of what you were saying, Daniel. Like, I saw Adam Smith yesterday with his keynote, right? And he was saying by like how like I think it's 2040 or 2050, I can't remember the exact date, one of those days, there's going to be over 1 billion people living outside of Earth, right? That's how fast technology is going, right? And he was saying about, was it like 8G or 7G or something will be like within the next 5 to 10 years. So the pace in which we're going at technology-wise is so like incredible, like Daniel's saying. And as soon as I heard that on that keynote saying about 1 billion people living out in space, I was like, oh my God, like, could you imagine 1 billion people living on Mars just because technology is so fast and so that, fast pace is... Anyway, Christian, over to you.
Is it okay if I comment on what Daniel said? As a writer, I hear you so much. And I also want to say that both my husband and I use ChatGPT for different reasons. And we have both said to each other, you should be very jealous because this conversation, you should be very jealous because we each have these, personal conversations about our work and our answers, because ChatGPT knows what we're talking about in a different way than I know what he does, and a different way than what he knows that I do. And it's fascinating. So yes, I agree. It's going to be an amazing world.
Yeah, 100%. I think Thomas is joining us. Welcome, Thomas. Let's get into our next question, because I'm curious, right? We talked about how we will potentially have these relationships with AI, AI is becoming more natural in its language and in its communication. But I'm curious, how can AI enhance emotional and cultural connections in digital communities? And when I'm curious about this, not in the form of people having relationships with the emotional or cultural AI, but how can we utilize AI to make the actual human more emotionally aware or culturally aware? Who wants to give that a shot? Russell, go ahead.
I can't help myself. Sorry. Again, yesterday there was so many sort of interesting talks, and one of the key talks that came up was empathy, right? And that's apparently like the number one thing which kept coming up over and over again for for AI to have, right, on the emotional side of things. And the connection is that robot being empathetic towards you, right? Because if it doesn't have empathy, and let's say something happens, or because it doesn't have empathy, it won't sort of like stop itself, right, or feel sorry for you, or be able to support you, etc. And I think AI having empathy is a key sort of point in all of this, because it can feel whatever other emotions it wants, but if it doesn't have the empathetic side to it, then it won't have that sort of human connections, because humans are very empathetic towards each other, and being able to support each other and be able to sort of segment different sort of emotions from each other. So I think that's one key point, and that was one thing that was spoke about a lot yesterday, and I really sort of 100% agree on that. So yeah, that's my point on that.
So cool. Thank you for sharing that. Who also would like to speak to this question? Helen, let's go. It's all you.
Thanks. I think it can also explain contexts that we don't understand from another culture. And I think it can really explain what somebody means. If somebody says something and we don't know the cultural context, but the AI might know what the cultural context is and can explain she or he or they are thinking this because this is what happens, and this happened 30 years ago. And due to that, there's a lot of feelings about this and that. And also translations, it's probably going to be better with actually translating things. I'm Swedish originally, so I know, and if whoever is bilingual or trilingual, however many languages you speak, that translating straight off never works, or right straight across, I don't know how you say that, never works, because the context is very different and it can create really big misunderstandings. So I think that could help with community and human connection as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And just in real time, as an American living in France right now, there's so much emotional disconnect just because of the language barrier. And so I can only imagine if I'm just able to better understand cultural translations when having conversations. I think it can just help have better relationships, honestly. So I like that point that you had, Helen. Attila, did you want to add something to this?
Yes, sure. I would love to, actually, because again, like emotionally, yes, AI can detect even emotional responses of people and then behave accordingly. But when it comes to cultural connections, I have doubts, actually, because the cultural connections, even based on our behaviors, I mean, based on how we raised, I don't know, like where we just raised, and what was who were our parents, or who were like our, I don't know, sisters or brothers, whatever. But especially cultural connections, especially for AI, is really challenging, because how AI can understand my mindset coming from actually my childhood, and especially if AI would like to connect me to a person who is similar to me, it will take some time, because there's a cultural context, even when it comes to like even the offensive parts in the immersive environments, immersive worlds. How AI can understand one trope or one, I don't know, something really bad can be offensive towards me, but AI can understand it's a joke in a funny way. And this cultural connections, especially when it comes to cultural context, I think it will take still some time, because even AI is developed based on the biased data sets. So it's just like a kind of like a bit, in my opinion, a kind of like an obstacle to enhance the cultural connections in digital communities. But especially if you take it from the, of course, social point of view, AI will definitely enhance the cultural connections in digital communities in many aspects. But if you take it from the individual point of view, there is an obstacle still we need to face, we need to deal with.
100%. 100%. And Daniel, I want to bring you in for this next question. So when we're thinking about the challenges of these AI technologies, what should we be aware of when it comes to fostering inclusive digital communities?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in here. So the first thing, Attila actually just referenced it in terms of building out the AI, and so we've all heard various horror stories of like the training data itself, and so if it's trained exclusively on white and Asian males in the Bay Area, then it has no context of what a rural Latina woman's life is like, and or what somebody in Africa or somebody in Beijing or what their life is like. And so that's one of the key challenges is making sure that we're using AIs that are more inclusive themselves, and then also not to over-index the other way. Like that can be problematic as well. We all saw some pretty funny stuff recently of Google's AI going ham the other way, and like that's hilarious too. If you're like trying to show the founding fathers of the United States of America as racially diverse, it didn't work. And so I'm a big fan of like revisionist science fiction history and doing all kinds of fun stuff like that, but there's a time and a place for that. And so I think some of the challenges is getting the mix correct of not only the training data, but how much are we trying to foster inclusivity while also maintaining an understanding of what did already happen, which historically Earth has not been the most inclusive place. And so it's a delicate balance that clearly all the major technology companies are not doing super well, though they are trying, and it's a challenge. And some of it is also a question for all of us as humans. Like where do you put the balance? Is it somewhere that you put it on what we want the world to be, or is it that you put it on what the world is? And like ideally it's slightly skewed towards what we want the world to be while still understanding where we're currently at.
Yeah. That's so good. And we're seeing, like you said, we're seeing this in real time. Just the biggest corporations just struggling to get it right.
With sometimes hilarious results. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But it's a challenge nonetheless. And Helen, coming over to you, I'm curious, when you think about your digital communities, what are some possible challenges that AI could bring?
Well, it was very interesting what you said, Daniel, because in my physical writing community, and I belong to the Historical Novel Society, we just had a discussion similar to what you were saying about having sensitivity readers for our work. And yes, that's very important, but we should also make sure we don't write time travel novels. People 150 years ago were not like us. They did not have our more, if we can say this about ourselves, enlightened view of how humans should interact with each other. And our characters can't be that. Like you said, our founding fathers were all white. And so to bring this in, if I just talk about my own community in the Foremothers Cafe, I want my Swedish woman who lived 100 years ago and had a cafe in Lund, Sweden. I want her to be aware of the historical context in Sweden at that time and be that character. And she would have a very Swedish perspective. She wouldn't have a very broad perspective because she didn't have all that information at that time. She would know some things about the world. It's not that long ago, but the further back in time you go, the more aware you have to be of how small the world is and what people were actually thinking at that time, and how to bring that into an AI that is interacting with humans living today who may or may not know history. And some of the things that people said in the past, very, very offensive today. So that's a very important and very interesting discussion to have. And I would love your thoughts too about how that can be done. so that we can, you phrased it very well, Daniel. So we have to know history, how it was, but live in today's society with the knowledge we have and being who we are today. So I would love to hear what the rest of you think of that. I think you're muted. Christian, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I was asking Daniel, would you like to respond to that, or anyone else have?
I would like to add one more thing, actually, because actually we are discussing, even if we say challenges, we are discussing, I mean, what kind of negative things we can just face. But actually, I totally agree with Daniel as well, because there's a question. Are we discussing what ought to be or what ought not to be? I mean, this is like there's like a slight difference, actually. And in that case, challenges could also turn into, like, I don't know, maybe promises, and I don't know, some I don't know, let's say new developments at least. I mean, we can take it from the positive perspective, but I definitely do agree, and I would definitely add this part as a part of as a comment to what Daniel said.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's get into our next question. We're talking. I love this conversation, by the way. We're talking about the history and how that affects the present and also the future, right? And so I think that's relevant to this next question, which is, how might AI influence the evolution of these communities, community behaviors, community norms, community rules within immersive platforms? What can we look forward to?
Right off the bat, we're all hoping for slightly better moderators and to reduce the amount of 8-year-olds screaming in VR chat random swear words at anybody who joins immediately. That would be fantastic. AI moderators. But so that's one thing, though. Moderation is a serious problem that hopefully AI can do better at than humans. But like getting into slightly more realistic things, one of the things I think is going to be interesting is the interaction with the AIs themselves. And like, if you're in an immersive space, whether it's Helen's Cafe or a business application or a video game or something like that, like, how do you know if the AI has become near human, like, and can essentially pass the Turing test? How do you know who's an AI and who's real, and how do we interact with them, and how does that change, and what is appropriate? And so I think we'll definitely see. I don't even know the answer. I don't know if any of us could know the answer. This is still within the realms of speculative fiction, probably. But how will we end up treating the AIs? And I think from the world of fiction, my absolute favorite interaction with droids comes from Star Wars. In Star Wars universe, all of the robots are there and just a part of daily life. And in some cases, it's totally okay for the characters to be friends with the robots and even experience love towards the robots, though it's very clear that the robots don't necessarily have the same emotional attachment back to the humans. So I don't know. I'm all for Star Wars.
I would like to jump on this because I think it's very interesting. First of all, I definitely think that AI will be able to stop a lot of bullying and hatred and all that kind of stuff, right? Which we see on platforms today. I definitely think in the short term, the social media side of things, it will stop sort of bad behavior and sort of evolutionize the community norms within social media platforms in the short term. But in the longer term, I definitely think like what Daniel was saying, which is like the interactivity and being able to sort of like control those sort of aspects on the AI side. I know it might sound like we're sort of being controlled some sort of aspect, but I think what the AI side and what people that are programming AI and what they're trying to do is trying to create a better world for all of us, right? Because at the end of the day, humanity is first, right? And obviously, the technology is just an advancement on top of humanity, right? Including AI. So I definitely think that if the if we go in the right direction with AI in creating a better world and making sure that it's being used for good and making sure that it's being used in the right way, then the community norms and behaviors in these immersive worlds will become a lot better because people will know that if they swear or if they bully someone, they're instantly banned or they're out, right? And I definitely think that will sort of adjust people's behaviors in those worlds and make it like a better world. But that's my personal opinion. So yeah.
Yes, love that. So there's hope. There's hope for better moderation for sure, making sure that there's less bullying and things like that. Thomas, welcome here. Can you hear us? Okay. We cannot hear you, sir.
I don't think you can hear me.
Welcome. Okay, having some trouble hearing you, Thomas.
I don't know.
I think he's there. It's just quiet. It was like super quiet.
We'll keep it going with the few minutes that we have left. This great conversation, and I'm loving it so far. So continuing to talk about community, how can AI be leveraged to manage community growth and scalability within these expansive worlds? Because also speaking of moderation, when you have many people from all over the world in one space, it can be a lot to manage. Helen, you probably have some thoughts on this. What do you think? How can we leverage AI to better manage communities?
Well, in my own world, like the cafe is the actual hub, but there's also an outdoor area, which I'm in the future want to expand upon. I want to add some museums and home for unwed mothers and other things that happened in my novel. And I think having somebody in those museums or just having an AI that is in the background, if somebody takes a walk and walks around, to just stand there and say, look, there's more in here. You're welcome to go in and take a look. And also just have a look at the other areas around it, because you can walk far into the hills. There's green hills, and walk far into the nature, so to speak. And so just having other avatars there who can be aware if somebody's walking around there would be very helpful. I'm not sure if that answered your question or if you had something else that was more specific.
Interesting, because it brought up an idea. So are you visualizing people coming into a space and just having a personal AI as kind of like a guide of the world?
Not really. I was thinking more that there are other characters who are from my time period, who could answer questions about some of the issues that women dealt with during that time. And so I'm going to have to think about that answer, and possibly also like a guide. That's a really nice idea as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool. Russell, you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think the instantaneous, not just like, I know we were talking about like the moderating side before, but this comes to the other side of the coin, which is like the support side, right? You know, being able to instantly get AI support within a second, right? Not having to, wait for someone to help you or, that sort of stuff. I think the scalability and expansiveness on that side of things in getting that instant support and guide or whatever it kind of may be that you need in that immersive world is going to be key into making this even more expansive and scalable. And I definitely think AI has obviously the scalability to be able to do that and be able to support people with ease and be able to respond in such a quick manner compared to even just normal general support, right? And I definitely think that as well, it will also be able to sort of help manage sort of the expectations as well, and what will be in that world as well. I just think there's so many sort of benefits from a scalability point of view with AI and being able to help the community growth and being able to communicate it with it as if it's like another person, right? Or if it's another sort of staff member or like you were saying earlier, guide, right? So I think that that sort of aspect is key to helping that sort of growth.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. And we talked earlier about just a little bit about ethics, but I'm curious from like a research standpoint with you, Attila, what ethical frameworks do you think are necessary when it comes to this integration between AI immersive technologies?
I mean, this is a really good question because I'm especially focusing on this part, like the governance part, because even frameworks, we are definitely like totally, I mean, even in the research area, academia, we are totally obsessed about the regulation, frameworks, etc. But when it comes to especially like the ethical point of view and the even the governance and the regulations, in my opinion, 100 it's impossible, I mean 100% to control the AI and these regulations or the immersivers, etc. There's no 100% regulation, and there will not be 100% regulation. We can just manage somehow, and even recently EU just released an act, AI act, but still, I mean, at some point, at what point actually you can control the AI, because it collects the data and it collects new data, new, I don't know, every day, every second it collects a new data sets, and it just interprets the data as well. And it's like a generation of the data. I mean, we can also talk about. And in that case, for immersivers, we can definitely say that accountability should be taken into account, fairness should be taken into account, or I don't know, transparency should be taken into account. But when it comes to the general framework of AI for ethical framework, it's impossible to say something certain and it should be implemented or it will be implemented. There's no such thing, because the data collection is various. I mean, data sets are various. And especially when it comes to virtual worlds, and I will take it from there, we are actually feeding ourselves actually from the data, with the data. And if we have any kind of restriction, which we have already, it just actually limits your development. This is like 100% like the truth, in especially in the development phase. And even it's like a kind of like issue for like the great powers, politics, etc. But also it's like a limitation of the development in new emerging technologies. And if I cannot get the data, I cannot develop more, or I should be somehow, I will be limited actually to develop more in immersivers or connection, because say anything connected to AI and immersive worlds. So in that case, especially for this part, for the ethical framework, I can definitely say that we should be maybe open what kind of data we are collecting. I think users should know that, because even when you write on ChatGPT, for instance, a simple question, I mean, what should I wear today? This is also a data, and you don't know where this question is going. I mean, this is kind of like a part of where you should know what you should know, and what you should know about your question, what you should know about your responses, what you should know a whole conversation actually that you are doing with AI. So in that case, no 100% regulation or framework, but then we can just set some at least principles to regulate or to make it more, how to say, reliable actually in front of the individuals. I can definitely say that.
Amazing. Thank you for that insight. Super good. And we have a couple of minutes left. I want to end with this last question. We can kind of go around the virtual table here. And I want to hear everyone's 2 cents on what future trends should we anticipate in the interaction between AI, immersive technology, and community building. Daniel, let's start with you, then Russell, then Attila, then we'll end with Helen.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to expect people to have relationships with AIs, which is going to not always romantic or sexual in nature, but expect people to have relationships with AIs. But also, like everything that we've imagined in science fiction over the last 5 decades is about ready to become true in some way or form. And it may not be the holodeck like it is in the Star Trek, but it will be something similar to that. And so expect basically us to quickly blow past everything that we've already imagined and then have to start imagining new things that we haven't even imagined before. But I have a sneaking suspicion that in the next decade or so, we'll be able to build everything that we've already imagined up till now.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in on this. Such a big question as well, but I'll try and keep it short. I think the personalized experience is going to be the biggest thing out of all this. You know, being able to not only sort of collaborate the community into one sort of immersive personal space, you know, experience together, right? But being able to have individuals inside of that community to be able to have different experiences too. That's going to be even more crazy. I think the AI is going to, you know, make things a lot more faster, a lot more efficient, a lot more speedy, a lot more sort of connections, as Daniel was saying. And definitely, I think from a community building point of view, it'll allow people to, basically, especially if you have your own community and you're a founder of a community like how Helen is, right? She'll be able to use AI to give the support, to give the instant reciprocation, for her community that they need, as well as, having a personal guide or whatever else may be within Helen's, business, right? So I definitely think those are how the sort of three things are going to sort of coexist. And I definitely think that just the rate that we're going at, even what I'm saying now, will be tomorrow, right? Because it's going that quick, launching out, rockets in outer space. I mean, I even saw an article saying about how you can sort of fly from London to New York within 40 minutes on like a space aircraft. I mean, that's crazy as well. But anyway, that's off topic. The point is the technology, the pace of what things are going at, like even what I'm talking now will be yesterday, and it's just going to go like so fast and so great, hopefully. And yeah, my fingers are crossed, that's for sure.
And actually, I can add here, I mean, I would like to, because we are talking about AI and immersive technology, but in between there's a human factor. And I will again maybe repeat the same thing, but I have to say that the communication and the human needs actually will kind of be determining actually the future trends or future developments and everything. Because if we just considered AI or immersive only, we will be definitely get lost. I mean, definitely, but we should understand the human behaviors, human needs, human factor, especially in AI and immersive. I will just conclude with an example, because right now we are also creating a virtual world, and we are also creating AI assistants or AI guides, whatever you say. But this all AI thing based on the anticipated needs or the needs that we got from the data in our virtual space, and everything goes actually specifically or focusing on specific need of a human or individual or customer or corporate, whatever. I mean, especially in learning, we should be definitely rely on the human factor or human needs and their needs. I mean, employees' needs, whatever you say. But here, we should definitely focus on the human factor between AI and immersive technology. Then we can just come up with some, even we can anticipate some trends based on our data retrieved from the, let's say, human behaviors and human needs or human interaction, whatever. But this is very much important point, in my opinion, for the future trends.
Sorry, just to jump in as well. Sorry, Helen. I just saw like a comment from Rose saying, "Is there anything that AI can't do?" And then Christopher says, "AI cannot smell the salt of the air of the sea. AI cannot process what we can feel what we can, and cry what we feel." So, how you saying about the human side? Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. And that kind of goes with what I've been thinking about. I think we will have to rethink a lot. And we should be very aware that in 30 years, we will look back at ourselves and wonder what the hell we were doing. And so we should just be open to rethink and open to realize that we are not at the top of the world. Every single person who's ever lived has always lived in modern times, as we think we are and as we are doing. But we will rethink things, and we should just be aware that, be open to what we learn.
Yeah, amazing. Well, panel, thank you so much for your time. This has been an awesome conversation. So many gems shared, and I hope the audience enjoyed this as much as I did. I look forward to staying connected with you all. And audience, please connect with our panelists, continue these conversations. Helen, there was someone in the comments who said they're working on a historical XR project and they'll be reaching out to you.
Oh, fantastic.
So be expecting that. And yes, and everyone enjoy the rest of day 2. Chris, sending it back to you. Thank you all for your time again in our gathering as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
health as easily as you put on your favorite pair of glasses. Welcome to the future of longevity in the metaverse. I want to share with you 3 transformative health and longevity related scenarios that I expect to be common in the future using metaverse, XR and AI. Scenario number 1. You're probably sitting for a long time and you know it's not healthy. One solution, walking meetings. So imagine you put on your XR glasses or lenses and you just start walking anywhere with your colleague, on a beach or along a winding path in the woods, all while you're brainstorming together. VR-enabled floors let you go wherever you want to, and aroma diffusers give you the feeling of being outside, all without ever leaving the room. Your benefits? You move your body and improve your health while you're also more creative and can solve problems with far more ease. Scenario number 2. Imagine you go to a doctor with yet another health issue. She wants to give you new medicine, but you're a bit worried because you are already taking so much. Not great for living longer. Luckily, your doctor has access to your digital twin with all the data about your body and your organs. And it is totally up to date right until this exact moment, as it's continuously updating itself with the latest lab tests and data from your wearables. So, your doctor runs a simulation right there and then, and the AI suggests a new medication while lowering the dosage of another one. Your benefits? You get the right dosage of the right medications. No more interfering with each other and causing unnecessary side effects. This helps you to optimize your health for a healthier, longer life. Scenario number 3. Imagine you are a bit stressed and your brain feels fried. You just can't remember anything. What do? Well, you go to NeuroHub in the metaverse. And as you're wearing a neuro headset that connects to biometric sensors in your clothes, the AI creates the perfect personalized brain enhancement experience for you, based on your brain activity, heart rate, stress levels, and so much more. And how could that look like? Well, you might enjoy the immersive emotion engine to calm you down and get your brain primed for the memory maze, where you'll go through different challenges adjusted in real time based on what the sensors are picking up from your body and mind. Your benefits? You improve your psychological well-being and your brain function, helping you to keep your brain sharp and agile as you age. Let's briefly talk about what are the benefits of all those scenarios for you as an individual and for organizations. So when you use mixed reality, metaverse, AI, you can improve your mental and physical health, learning capabilities, and longevity. Organizations, companies, they profit from healthier, more productive, and more engaged employees. And as we're all going to live longer, need to work longer, and want to live fulfilling lives, it also helps you to attract top talent at any age. We are not there yet at this scenario, even though most of the technology already exists and it's not going to go away. But how far out is that future? It can actually be here very quickly. Don't underestimate generative AI and its ability to leapfrog ahead. The time to act is right now. So, if you want to be healthy, perform at your best, and live longer yourself, or if you are an entrepreneur or leader whose company wants to set leading industry standards, adopting future-oriented technologies, and do something for the health, well-being, and longevity of your staff, let's talk.
Hello everyone, my name is Minna and I'll be introducing my course for you today. It's not just a card, it's a card. So a little bit about myself. I'm a multidisciplinary designer and educator. I have a background in digital culture and in architectural engineering. I love XR and gamification. I'm trying to build my own brand, which is cards, and I'm trying to make our daily lives more fun. So the features of cards, the augmented reality cards are gamification, hybrid interaction, physical card and the virtual world, multisensory design. They have different categories, education, wellness, entertainment, and many more. So this is like a prototype for the education, consists of like different words or different information bundles for different age categories actually. We also have the wellness bundle, which is like our way of trying to gamify the process of habit building, and we're trying to build the habit of productive rest. It's called the 30-minute break bundle. We also have the entertainment one, so this is like a prototype for the greeting cards. And this is like our current situation with the cards. So I want to share a bit about my experience with like how cards and AI are integrated a bit. So I haven't made up my mind yet regarding the usage of AI artwork and if I should use it for the designing of the cards itself or not. But it had definitely been helpful in the marketing part, especially that I don't have so much experience in it. So I found AI helpful in the process of like marketing and creating like the content for the marketing. So I'm currently using AI with the cards or with augmented reality and the my brand with the marketing. It's really helpful with the brainstorming, creating marketing campaign, social media calendar, and social media post. I find it to be like really helpful, and I'm still exploring with it. And I just thought that maybe we should highlight the usage of AI in that part, aside from using it for the art as well. And that's it. Just remember that it's a card, it's not a card. And I really appreciate your support and would love to hear from you.
In the dynamic world of healthcare, a new vision emerges where the patient becomes the epicenter of the care process. However, in addressing patient rehabilitation, we are confronted with important gaps that are not aligned with this patient-centered perspective. Let me share some worrying facts about the rehabilitation of patients with chronic pain or neurological diseases. According to studies, pain patients can go up to 5 years without specific treatment, leading to chronification of pain and deterioration of prognosis. In the case of patients who have suffered a stroke, on average, their treatment does not start until after 3 months, the first 6 months being crucial for their optimal recovery. Moreover, the quality of treatment leaves much to be desired, as it is often administered in a routine manner without considering the individual needs of the patients, turning rehabilitation into a kind of production line more concerned with keeping the patient busy than with optimizing the recovery process. As Paracelsus stated in the 16th century, the only difference between a poison and a remedy is a dose. In the case of rehabilitation, current treatment doses are insufficient and ineffective. Finally, the lack of information on the patient side about their condition and the necessary course of action contributes to their disorientation. And who pays the price for this condition? The patient himself. Facing a failed rehabilitation, that condition is future quality of life. I am Fernando Morales, co-founder of Dynamics VR, and today I'm here to share our mission to democratize access to high-quality treatment through the use of virtual reality. Immersive virtual reality is presented as a revolutionary tool due to its unique capabilities, allowing not only the performance of specific movements, but also transporting the patient into virtual environments that expand therapeutic possibilities. We base our approach on solid scientific evidence supporting its efficacy, combined with our willingness to continue to validate our own strategies. Unlike other approaches, we seek not only to alleviate the patient's suffering, but also to make the patient rehabilitation process enjoyable through gamification, goal setting, and personalized progress monitoring. We recognize the uniqueness of each patient and therefore adapt our treatments to their individual evolution. Why did we choose immersive virtual reality over the non-immersive one? In terms of cost, non-immersive virtual reality is much easier to implement as most people own a smartphone, whereas not everyone owns an immersive VR device. However, the immersive experience offers an unparalleled advantage by allowing the patient to escape their physical environment and fully immerse themselves in a virtual world that promotes recovery and wellness. Our choice is based in particular on the proven therapeutic efficacy of immersive virtual reality, as we understand that in rehabilitation, what happens in the brain is as crucial as what happens in the body tissue. By modulating key sensory stimuli, such as sight and hearing, we can trigger positive